Welcome to Criminal Gines, a comedic true crime watch-along podcast where we watch Criminal Minds, all 15 seasons, and discuss the true crime that can be linked, however indirectly, to the episode. We're your hosts, Stacey Johnson and Veronica Shea, and this week we're joined by Alyssa Poteet in discussing Season 1, Episode 12, What Fresh Hell.
Thank you so much for having me. I forgot that was the title of the episode. So edgy. So
so chic. So
pertinent. What fresh hell.
What the
Amazing. Fresh
hell. And I do not think poor Jaycee was fresh in that shed for those 18 years. Like, there's no way.
That poor babe. No.
It was, oof.
No.
I listened to her speak and I cried in the car because she seems like such a nice lady. And I'm like, how are you more well-adjusted than me?
Yeah.
Right. And you spent 18 years in a hole.
Yeah. She's the epitome of a survivor. She's epic. Also, stunningly beautiful.
Right. So
she
beautiful.
She is so gorgeous.
So well adjusted. I think she has said this quote that literally, she was like, the interviewer asked her something about like how, acclimating back to life. And she said something about like, you have to do the work. You have to be willing to cry a lot. You have to be willing to laugh a lot. And I just didn't want to give those people another minute of my life. And I'm like, how are you like therapy level, like enlightened and like,
right.
Yeah. Oh my, the dishes pile up and I have a breakdown, like a full blown breakdown in this girl. Like it's incredible. It was honestly really inspiring.
Yeah.
She's epic. Yeah, love us some Jaycee Dugard.
Very nice lady seeming. Oh my God.
Okay, so this episode opens on kids playing soccer, and the coach's kid can't play because she's in a cast, but she's giving major attitude because her mom won't let her go hang out with her dad.
Oh yeah.
Toot on toots.
Sorry, am I allowed to pause? How does this work? Okay. Because all of these interviews, all of the like things from this real story that this episode is based on, her mother seems like a lovely woman. Like when honestly, like I would have been, if here's Jaycee Dugard's mom and here's like Casey Anthony and here's the spectrum, I would have been like she was like 10 years into missing her daughter. At that point, I would have given up hope, but she's still putting out like PSAs and videos of like, help, like, she's out there. And they seem like they have such a great relationship. And like, she seems like a very nice, sweet, like tempered lady. And then Hollywood decided to take this story and we're like, we need a female bitch to sell this kidnapping. And then her mom is just like on the side. She's like, you don't need to play, Jaycee. Stop your fucking whining. And it's just like really so focused on Little League female soccer. Like, and it was just like, and it was almost like, yeah, it was mom's fault that she got kidnapped because she was such a bitch to her kid. It was insane. So I continue just right off the bat.
Yeah, we love the female blame that a lot of true crime shows actually do. It is.
But
not just of Criminal Minds, of like
life.
Yeah.
Life. Yeah.
Actually. But yeah, you do bring up the point. Like this one isn't explicitly based on Jaycee Dugard. We're just going to talk about her because she's such an epic. Yeah. This isn't like Jaycee's story. There's one that's a little bit farther down that's more her story, but we want to talk about Elizabeth Smart as well. So we wanted to talk about Jaycee because she was so in the public eye and was found. Spoiler alert for the episode. Was found alive.
It's a good spoiler alert. Honestly, it's good.
So this is, young girl taken, witnesses saw, and then was found alive. Was kind of the Jaycee through line.
Got it. Okay. I won't be so
and it's our first
the details
kidnapping. Yeah, you don't have to.
I was like so upset. Like if I was Jaycee's mom, because then like imagine you were missing your daughter for 18 whole years. You go through that trauma, and then you're like watching the little recap on Hulu, and they just make you out to be this monster, like
the worst person. No.
Yeah, like okay, thank God.
No, it's no. And in this episode, like the parents who are estranged end up getting back together when in real life it's
that's
really
right.
always the opposite. It really breaks a family apart. So that kind of thing. But yeah, so she's abducted by this guy with a dark green Jeep. He has the ruse of looking for his dog, and so she's going to go help him. 20 hours go by before the FBI is contacted because they're now considering it a stranger abduction once they were finally able to reach the dad. Stranger abductions of this girl's age range are very rare. I think she was like 11. They're very rare, and the chances of finding her alive are not good. Most, like 40%, are dead within the first 3 hours, and almost all of them are dead within 24 hours. So now there's a ticking clock. We love a ticking clock in a crime show.
We love a ticking clock.
He had approached another girl twice in the same day, but she was busy, couldn't help him with his dog. But this does show that he's comfortable in the neighborhood.
Right.
There's a sex offender in the neighborhood. He was arrested for solicitation of a prostitute. So he doesn't fit the profile, but a minivan mom tells the parents about this guy. So the dad, of course, rushes off to like beat him with a wrench.
Dad shit.
Sure.
Typical dad shit.
Yeah. Major typical dad shit. The BAU decides to lessen the pressure on this offender. They take all the police off the street, and they kind of talk about stranger danger and how it actually did not great things. A lot of harm because we were all taught stranger danger as children, when really most children are abducted by people they know.
Right.
And like assaulted by people they know.
What was y'all's stranger danger talk like? Like from your parents? Like were they just like, hey, don't
I had it at my school.
Guy. Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense. It was like a DARE program thing.
Yeah, I think it was like a DARE program thing. Yeah.
And I think mine was in like 7th grade. They brought us to like the lunchroom, and we were all on bleachers, and they gave us a stranger danger talk. Because I'm 35, so that would have been like 2001-ish.
Right.
2001, 2002-ish. And but I do
in
remember
middle school?
Yeah. But I do remember stranger danger from McGruff, the crime dog. He had stranger danger stuff, and they would always have those little PSAs with him in children's programming.
Right. Because I feel like this was the time when like people started to learn that like kidnappings were a thing. Like there was more coverage and eyes on them.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to remember if we had it at school. I guess we must have, and I just don't really. I don't know if it was lumped in with DARE, but I remember my parents, they found out that I had a MySpace in like 5th grade, and they were horrified. And like my mother is very conservative, God-fearing, life-fearing. She's like scared to go to like the city because she's like thinks she's gonna get murdered. She's one of those. And they took me to the FBI's office in downtown Chicago to waste an FBI agent's time explaining to me how I was going to get raped and murdered for having a MySpace. And I told this story like a few years ago to a friend. And they were like, Alyssa, you dumbass. They like your dad's friend put on a suit. They didn't take you to the FBI's office.
Oh my god!
So you're right. No shit. When I called my mom, and I called her out on it. I'm like, Mom, remember when you did this thing? Like, oh, that's so funny. Did you? And she's like, oh no, we should have just done that. No, I just called the FBI office, and they said they'd be willing to take. So, and I remember the guy being kind of annoyed too, just kind of like, yeah, we do get a lot of cases, but like he was kind of like checking his watch energy, and it was like, because he's on his lunch break probably.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Wild.
It's like the new recruit.
And it did not help. Yeah, right. Like the PA of the FBI, like the lowest.
Oh my
and
gosh.
he would give me a talk about how my MySpace was going to get me raped and murdered.
Okay, but honestly, like, because I grew up at the beginning of AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, and that is what it fucking was. And like, MySpace quickly became that too.
Do you remember Omegle?
Yes, that's still a thing, right?
Yeah, like ChatRoulette, like just looking at dicks, left and right as a child. There were just dicks,
dicks everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god,
right.
So Kristen is going to join us since we're already talking about stranger danger. Kristen, we're kind of in the middle of our recap, but Alyssa asked a question about how we all learned about stranger danger, so I thought it'd be great to have you pop in already. But yeah, Kristen, do you remember how you learned about stranger danger?
I feel like commercials or like TV shows.
Yeah. So like McGruff the crime dog?
McGruff. Oh my God. I haven't thought about him
I
in
should
so
have worn
long.
my McGruff t-shirt. I don't know why I
Oh, fail.
Yeah.
didn't. But yeah. I think they brought us in at Swope. I went to middle school with Kristen. I feel like we had a seminar at Swope.
We for sure did. Yeah. And I think Gruff was there. Someone was there.
Yes. McGruff was there. Like someone had to dress like your poor FBI agent, Alyssa. Someone had to dress as McGruff the crime dog.
Oh, wow. Oh, those heads can't smell very good. There's no way, like,
Ew.
spray
Never
down
thought about
situation. There's no way to like actually wash them, you know? Like, how could you
For sure.
even-
Right.
you get a hose?
Vinegar
Like,
and vodka.
yeah, something like that. You gotta just spray something. Yeah. Oh,
Just
man,
Febreze it up.
which I feel like you can only get low-level criminals to take that job, which is probably the sweetest irony of it all.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You get someone with like a petty theft record. Like, who's taking that job?
You know what
I
freaks
mean?
me out? Same thing at Chuck E. Cheese. Like, you know
Right.
that Chuck E. Cheese
Yes.
was some kind of like guy who had just been released from jail or something like that who needed a job. And then like entertaining kids freaks me out.
Yes.
For sure.
For sure.
Great.
So, Kristen, talk to us about Stranger Danger. And
Yeah. I mean, I didn't look up the stats of how many child predators were actually teaching children. So sorry about that.
hopefully none. I think none. I
But,
think,
yeah, I mean, I don't
well,
know. You can-
at least not convicted. Pre-convicted,
Right.
sure.
Right. Always
like I
pre.
said, I didn't look it up. Pre-conviction. Okay. All right. So let's start with kind of where Stranger Danger came about. And it started in the late 1970s in America and the UK. And I'm sure as you guys already know, but it basically is the idea that kids need to be wary of every single stranger because every single stranger has the ability to kidnap you. And then more specifically, be sexual predator.
you?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. Be
So
sexual predators.
we're teaching the children what women already know,
Yeah.
right?
Everyone's trying to murder you.
Yeah. So basically, Stranger Danger came about. There's a few cases that people point to, but it wasn't really one case in particular. But there's a few that kind of keep popping up around the time of Stranger Danger. So there was Eaton Patz in like 1979. He was a 6-year-old boy, and he was walking 2 blocks from his home to the bus stop, and he disappeared. And his dad was a photographer, so his dad had a bunch of pictures, and this child's picture was sort of plastered everywhere. And
He was the first milk carton kid.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't know if he was milk carton, but definitely like the first like prominently featured.
Yeah.
But you might be right, V. He could have been.
I think he's the first milk carton because he was
milk carton.
the first non-famous or like rich person's kid to be abducted.
And those are the ones that matter. No.
Well, so they didn't want him for ransom. That was usually kidnappings were for ransom, not for sexy
for
time.
like, ugh, yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you got a really fun episode, Alyssa.
I know.
Intense. Yeah, very
Yeah.
intense. So the media kind of took Eaton's story and really ran with it. And the sort of the sentiment here was that, walking 2 blocks from your home, anyone can take your child, even just walking to the bus stop. So that was one that really sort of spurred Stranger Danger. There's also the Moore murders, and this was in the UK in the late 1960s, and it was this couple who had killed 5 children. And it was the fact that it was a couple and it was a woman who was helping
For funsies?
for, for sexual gratification. And
Oh, and then they just
I don't know.
dispose of them? Oh god, okay.
they kidnapped them and then, murdered them.
Raped them and then murdered them.
Yeah, dude, it's hard for me even to talk about. It's so gross. Yeah, so the fact that it was a woman, like everyone in the UK was like, wow, even like women can do this shit, So then again, kind of spurred on Stranger Danger. And then there was Adam Walsh in the 1980s, a child who was decapitated. And so those are kind of some like highlights that the media really took and like ran with and sort of was like, look, anyone can be stolen at any time, right?
And Adam Walsh's dad, John Walsh, you might know from starting and hosting America's Most Wanted.
Oh. Do we know like the proportionality ratio of like media coverage? Because it was so hot. It really did feel like it was everywhere, like McGruff and the commercials and the da-da-da-da-da-da. And like what was the media coverage of these cases first like how many kids were getting kidnapped in these types of scenarios.
Yeah. So this gets into like, I have a whole section, but why stranger danger is bad. Like essentially,
because that's what Kristen doesn't watch the episode so that it doesn't bias her. Also because she doesn't watch Criminal Minds, but the episode Kristen talks about how stranger danger did more harm than good.
Yeah. So one of the stats that I kept coming across, it was like in the 2010s at some point, someone did a study. So they were basically looking at how many children were kidnapped versus how many were just lost. And there were 800,000 kids that were lost that year, and only 115 were kidnapped by strangers.
In the whole United States, or like
an American study, yeah.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah.
I'd have to double check, but yeah.
Like only 100. Oh, wow.
Yeah, only 115. I think it's so cool that Criminal Minds, every time I bring something up, you're like, oh, they talked about it in the show. So I think it's cool that they actually like go and look at the data and all that. But another really weird issue with stranger danger is that lawmakers were sort of using this stranger danger to push their political agenda. So Reagan, for example,
I fucking hate Reagan. I'm so sorry, but I fucking hate him. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's fine. So he used to talk about keeping children safe a lot. And he used that as a way to rationalize like harsher penalties and expand the like carceral system. And he had a tough on crime legislation, and he really pushed the keeping our kids safe, blah, blah, blah. So he really tapped into that stranger danger at the time to sort of get people to vote for him, right?
And then kind of set the standard for like, I feel like you can't be a politician at that level and not be tough on crime. Like even now, like since then, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
They talked about that. They talked about the effect it had moving forward and how other people after Reagan used his, foundation for this stuff on crime. Yeah, you're totally right, Alyssa. It had this really weird rippling effect. Yeah, it was awful. Also, Reagan used Eaton's disappearance, and we talked about earlier, when he made a task force. And in this task force, basically the recommendation was to strengthen and improve nuclear families. So he was pushing this nuclear family and saying that is how we're going to keep our children safe, is by pushing this nuclear family like rhetoric. It's so bizarre and like really exploitative and really disgusting that is what they were using at the time, Well,
and you still get that today with like, you should stay together for your kids because it's better for them to grow up in a household with a mom and a dad. And it's like, right. What if the dad is raping the kids? What if the mom is physically abusing the kids? It's not better. Or if the parents are always arguing, there's no abuse, but the parents are always arguing. That's not better for kids to grow up in.
There's no one blanketed rule, right? Something else, and we kind of talked, I think we already mentioned this too, is the media mostly with stranger danger focused on white kids. They called this the missing white girl syndrome.
Yeah, like Creme Brulee Ramsey or whatever her fucking name was.
Sean Bonet.
Yeah. Whatever her stupid little fake French name was,
Oh, God. Little Jean Bonnet, our little beauty queen.
She sounds like a pastry.
She does sound like a pastry.
She does.
Very cute.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Sorry, I shouldn't make. She didn't make it, right? Oh, I shouldn't be.
She did not make it.
She was definitely killed.
Yeah.
I take back everything I said about her very lovely and cultural name.
Oh my God.
It's just fancy white. Okay. Yeah, no, truly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also, I didn't really see, I didn't look too much into this one, so I don't know how science-y this one is, but there were some professionals that said that stranger danger made parents parent differently, which makes sense to me. Yeah. So it made them say, don't go outside, don't talk to strangers, which then in turn increases anxiety in kids, gives them less socialization. They're inside more, which means they're not as active. So they're sort of saying that stranger danger also contributed to this, being indoors, being less socialized, having more anxiety, sort of, I guess, issues that people think that we're having today.
So that's what's wrong with me. Oh my God.
It's stranger danger. McGruff gotcha.
So crazy. No, yeah, my mom was totally that, cause I think she's like an anxious person by nature. And that really spoke to me, what you were saying about just it really felt like it fed her anxiety. Every little thing was like a potential life or death situation. And I wonder if if she would have been so on edge if it wasn't just constantly getting in her head.
Yeah. Yep. And the media had a huge role in this one because they labeled it an epidemic. They labeled kidnapping an epidemic. And like I said, I gave you guys the numbers from 2010s.
That's crazy.
Kidnapped by strangers. Yeah. But 800,000 get lost. So this was another problem with stranger danger, is that you're teaching kids to not talk to strangers, but 800,000 of them need strangers because they're fucking lost. Yes, exactly. So there's one story of this Boy Scout who was lost in the forest, and he hid from the rescuers for 4 days because he was afraid that they were going to steal him. Yeah, and I'm sure there's more stories out there like that. Right?
And also now it's like so revolutionary. Do you guys watch Old Enough? The like Japanese show where they send little 5-year-olds on errands like a quarter mile away or something, and they're tiny. They're like preschool, and they have to like get the little help from the store person, and that is a foreign concept post Reagan for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
One of the theories is that it's the cultural differences. So in America, we're very much about the individual being unique, blah, blah, blah. But in Japan, it's a homogenous society and they take care of each other. That's why masks wasn't a big deal there, but it was here. So that whole, taking care of each other lends itself to we're going to take care of our kids as a community as a whole too, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, truly.
So now in the present day, they're trying to get stranger danger away from be afraid of strangers. Especially because the majority of people who are being kidnapped, who are doing the kidnapping and who are doing the sexual
assault.
Thank you. So the sexual assault are people in the family. So they're people that kids know, like by and large, it is people that kids know and that are in their lives. So now they're trying to shift focus away from that and teaching kids about, body autonomy and making boundaries and stuff like that, and how to not just do what your authoritarian figure says, right? So yeah, stranger danger. I knew it wasn't going to be great, but I was like, damn, it did a lot of really, really bad shit. It also, some of the laws that it created hurt the kids that it was trying to protect. So there were like sexual predator laws that were more strict, but then the children were being labeled as sexual predators because children were engaging in sexting with kids around their age, but they were being labeled as the sexual predator. So there was even all these laws in effect that then kids were getting put in jail for and being labeled as sex offenders for.
Wow.
For sexting?
Yeah, sexting was one of them.
Whew. Some of us, I'm not going to say who, but some of us on this call got out by a hair of the criminal justice system. Oh, man, we could have gone to jail for that? That's crazy. Oh, wow.
Right?
Yowza. Oof. That's a weird vibe.
The whole stranger danger was a weird vibe, Alyssa. I was like, what is this rabbit hole? I'm not enjoying reading about this. And I
seem like don't want to say out of you. You do seem a little like
it did.
We got to do this today.
Yes, because the whole string through this is sexual assault of children. You know what I mean? That is the whole fucking thread that holds this together. Awful.
Yeah. It's our whole episode. Did you want to hang out for it? Or?
Nah. Yeah, you guys, you knew the thing.
You guys, I'm not going to
just teach you about stranger danger. I'm being very gracious.
Okay, are you ready to be graded? You're ready. Okay, so Alyssa, we do pass fail on vibes alone. You won't hurt Kristen's feelings.
What kind of vibes? What are we passing or failing?
Whatever you're feeling. So basically, whatever your vibes are. She comes on and usually does like statistics and studies. And so we peer review her, right? Because that's the process.
Oh, I love science.
Sciencey people. Yeah.
Doesn't peer review imply that we got off our asses and did some shit? But
it usually means you're an expert in the field. Yeah.
Right.
So you guys are experts on vibes.
Yeah.
We're an expert on vibes.
A+, pass, smash.
I'm going to be really honest. I'm going to fail you.
Right.
I was bored.
Oh, that one bored you? Physics didn't bore you, but
no, physics was interesting, but this one was boring. It's stuff I already knew.
Okay,
stuff enough. I lived through.
Right. What?
I mean, I was never kidnapped.
Wild. I'm gonna pass Kristen because we like when it lines up with the show.
We do like that. And Alyssa said pass. So
hard pass. Smash.
Hey, majority rules.
Hates child sexual assault, and that passes the vibe check.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you. I'll take it.
Okay. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Alyssa, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Kristen. Thanks for your stats.
No problem. Hope it goes well. Have a good rest of your podcast.
Okay. So yes, they talked about stranger danger, and then they discover that there was a body that's been discovered in the river. Spoiler, it's not the girl.
Oh.
They have the parents talk to the press about asking for witnesses driving a dark green SUV to come forward. So this was supposed to be their suspect. Now they're asking for a witness. They say that this is so that neighbors will report on their neighbors because they don't like to think that they're living next to a monster. But maybe if they saw something, they were a witness, they could be a hero, right? So a tip comes in that there's someone with a neighbor with an SUV. They get there. The guy's still not answering the door. Gideon decides to take matters into his own hands, breaks the law, breaks into the guy's house.
Quite like he always does.
Toxic, just straight chaotic, insane vibes. No warrant, no probable cause. He holds the suspect at gunpoint, yelling about the girl.
What? Oh.
Yeah. Holds him at gunpoint. The guy's like, I don't know what you're talking about. They sweep the house. They find a bunch of child porn and home videos with kids, but no girl. Then Gideon notices a broom with insulation on it, realizes she must be in an attic space. They find her, they bring her home, and the soccer team is super stoked to have her back.
And does the mom lighten up? Is the
mom
does she
lightens
smile?
up. She's reunited with the husband who's dying, which is his whole C story weirdness.
Oh, did they introduce these characters? I never watched Criminal Minds. Are they just like episode exclusive? Like, do we have any sort of arc with the dying husband from before? They back all
they
that
don't.
in.
Yeah, 42 minutes and 23 seconds, I think.
We got a dying dad, a kidnapped girl, child porn, neighbor pedos, and a mom's emotional arc reconciling with their own tough love parenting. And 42 minutes. That's what it takes.
In 42 minutes. Boom.
Yes.
So how many Emmys have they won?
Good question.
None.
I don't think they've won any.
I don't even know that they've been nominated.
Unbelievable.
I
know.
also don't think I'm going to look.
They're doing good work.
Wild.
They're packing a lot in.
They are doing great work. This wasn't this was a Gideon episode. We do find out like he considers every kid he's able to bring home successfully his family. He has framed photos of all of them in his
Okay, well that
office.
sounds creepy. That sounds like they should be investigating him a little bit too.
It's not great.
I don't like the framed kid photos thing. Hard stop.
But Shemar is there, as always. Shemar Moore.
Do you want to know how many Emmys Criminal Minds has won?
Yeah.
I do.
3.
Oh, okay.
3.
Was it for this episode?
I need you to tell me. I need you to guess what for. Never guess.
I'm gonna guess they're like tech awards.
Okay, Alyssa.
Set design.
They won
Location manager would be my guess.
2008, 2009, and 2012 for the same thing, and it was outstanding stunt coordination.
That makes sense.
Like, yeah, we got to kidnap, and then we have get her in the van and make it good.
There were Tabula Rasa was one of the episodes, Normal, and then The Bittersweet Science. Anyways. Oh, and it was Tom Elliott every time.
Good job, Tom.
Okay.
Shout out to Tom Elliott. Good job. I love that for him. But okay, so this photo of Shemar.
Gimme more.
Yeah, we got it up.
He's looking pensive.
Yeah, pensive. Yeah, for sure. What is the name of that punctuation on the upper left of your keyboard that's like this?
Oh, like the tilde?
Is that? Ooh, I love it. He's got double tilde going on in his pensive ass brow. And that's very unnerving on a man. I don't.
You don't like the brow work.
No, with the big, like, round puppy dog eyes. It's like, are you trying to plea with me? Like, did you just kidnap a child? And you're like, I didn't know. I'm just a little boy. I don't like this face on him or anyone.
Oh my God.
It's very, I don't like it. It makes me very comfortable.
So 1 out of 5, what's you're like a 0. Like, what's...
Like... I think the tilde, it means in math, like approximately, like we'll go with like approximately 0, but also like, I don't know. I also don't like, I can see his collarbone and it's surrounded by leather, which also makes me feel very uncomfortable. The hair blur on the vector is very, I don't know. Could you imagine like this guy's about to like make a move on you and lean in? And he just looks at you like he's fucking like he's just fucking. It's just. I have never been drier, and I think that's got to be a 0 for me.
Fair.
I don't. Yeah.
Okay, Stace, what about you?
I think I'm gonna go 3.
That's what I was gonna go.
And I feel like y'all like him, so a 3 is effectively a 0.
Pretty much. A 3 is about as low as I typically go. Like, I haven't done... I don't think
That's
I've
such a
gone
lie.
lower
You've
than
gone 1. You've done a 1.
Have I?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I would say it's just mid Shemar. It's just like mid Shemar. Still love him, still Shemar, but mid. We learned that word with Parnell.
Oh, yeah, we did. Mid. All the cool kids are saying it's
all
mid.
the hip kids.
Yeah.
I'm sure Alyssa says it.
Well, I like worked at a dispensary, so like I didn't know it was like a cool like day-to-day thing. I just thought it meant like slightly better than shitty weed. But like I'm glad that it's caught on in the general sense.
Yeah, we're learning all types of things. We're staying young and fresh.
Young and fresh, like what the fresh hell? This shit.
Correct. Woo, way to bring it back. But yeah, which brings us young and fresh to the kidnapping of Jaycee Dugard.
Yes. Oh my god. Cute as a button. Like little Jaycee Dugard, she's got like it's probably been a long time since she modeled, but I remember like the last Victoria's Secret fashion show I watched, like the gap tooth bitch, hottie baddie, like she's
yeah.
That like she's in this small town in California, but she's giving Minnesota queen. Jaycee, your typical white girl kidnappee, because that's all the media wants to talk about, and she was the poster child because she went to go catch the bus, trying to be a little like good girl, go to school, blah blah blah. And this is not like a come help me find my dog, come get some candy situation. This is a man with like a tasing device outside the van.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't go down with the first tase, allegedly, like a baller. And he tases her a second time. They bring her in, right? And this is the most unnerving part for me. It's giving like Ghislaine Maxwell, like the female accomplice trope in the van. Because we don't just have Philip Garrido or whatever the fuck his name is. We don't need to pronounce his name, right? Because he don't fucking matter.
Correct.
We got Philip Garrido, and then we also have his wife Nancy, which are like high-fiving, celebrating, like it's hard to kidnap a child, like you did something difficult, and it like and according to Jaycee, like she remembers hearing them like just celebrating, saying like, "Oh, I can't believe we got away with it," which is I guess this is because this is in 1991, so I'm gathering like I don't know if this is when like Catch Me If You Can came out, like before there were any video cameras and you could just do shit, because like I feel like this would never fly.
No, well, to be fair too, it was up in South Lake Tahoe, which
it was like
which is not far. It's like a 45-minute drive from where Veronica and I grew up.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's not like a rural area, but it's like there's
mountain town,
wood, it's forest, it's mountain,
it's small.
And
this was before cell phones, so like the bus driver couldn't call someone and be like, "Oh, I'm chasing this car with a girl." There was none of that. The stepdad saw it happen and tried to ride after them on a bike.
Oh yeah, that's
which like nowadays you'd be calling 911 while chasing after them like that.
Right,
they didn't have cell phones, so yeah. So they got her.
Yeah, and there's probably people driving by seeing stepdaddy. Like, it just really makes you think, like, in life, like everyone loves people watching and just like, but you don't really know what people are going. Like, if I was driving on the side of the road and I see this like middle-aged man just going, I would be like, the fuck kind of CrossFit? Like, I would be talking shit and roasting this poor stepdad who's like life or death chasing this guy. It's like, it's really, I don't know, the interconnectivity of us all. Anyways, so they get Jaycee back to the house, right? They like throw her in the shower. They're like, clean up, even though we're going to make you live in a shed for 18 years. And then they take her out back. They have 2 sheds. So I guess they have a living shed for her and then a diddling shed, which is like, I guess from when I was looking into Mr. Philip Fuck would go on these like crack or meth binges. I forget whatever fucking stimulant of choice. And he would just like take her in there for the little binges, right? But then also like typical fucking kidnapper or ex-boyfriend shit of like telling her that he's her savior and that like the world's a dangerous place and like you may not like it here, but I'm protecting you from all this other shit. So it's a very confusing time. And I think she's got fast forward. She gets pregnant not once, but twice. Which then makes you think, like, if you backtrack, like, there's no way these people are like giving this. She's free bleeding in a shed for like every period she has. There's no way she's like getting a little diva cup or nothing. Like she is free bleeding in a shed. And it's gotta be, it's just like, oh my God. I like camping for 2 days max.
Yeah. And then I'm done. I want to be clean.
That's what I'm saying. Like the horror and trauma, it's like take away like the diddling crack fueled binges. Like that's like top tier trauma. But like the shed living perioding.
It's not cute.
Oh my God. Like it's just every single aspect. So she has 2 kids. Right? This whole time, Jaycee's mom, from what I saw, like, is just like putting out videos. Like, the family really has a lot of hope. And you know what I thought was interesting? The most reliable information I got as to like the criminal investigation in her kidnapping was from the very accurate 3-time Emmy award winning Criminal Minds. Like, there is really there's really no actual like stuff. And I'm assuming maybe it has to do with the 24-hour thing. Like they just gave up even though her mom didn't. Like they're just like, it's been 12 years, bitch. Like she did. And you know what? The stats would support that very crude perspective.
Yeah.
So, Philip and Nancy start getting bold and they're like, you know, we originally kidnapped this girl to be kind of like our sex toy object of like our little fun crack sexy times. But you know what? You fuck a thing long enough, you fall in love. We're an American family. They start to like take Jaycee and her 2 children out to like the occasional beach day and like mommy daughter day with Nancy. And I just picture like all these Ghislaines and I'm just like, how dare you? Just like, if you're gonna be a monster, just be one of those freaking teachers who like pedos on one of the teenage boys, like a normal fucking female pedophile. Don't fucking tag team with a man and kidnap a child. Sorry, that's a controversial opinion. I don't know if that's gonna get me arrested. I don't condone any pedophilia.
If Veronica hasn't gotten arrested by this point, you won't.
I want to know what Veronica has said because I feel like that's been mentioned multiple times. I feel like there was an incident or 2 that like comes to mind. But it's just like the evilest of evil. Because it's like, and here's the thing, this Philip, and not that like hot rich people should be able to kidnap and sexually assault children, but I'm like, what kind of incentive has this Philip man provided his wife Nancy to make her an accomplice? Because she's not doing the diddling sessions. She's just helping him out. And he's fucking ugly and like their house is a shack. Like what kind of like incentive does she have to get
like what are you getting out of him?
That's what I'm saying.
She
like,
met him while he was in prison.
Oh,
that's how they met.
Like one of those like love letter girls?
Yeah, she was visiting her uncle in prison. And then met him. And they ended up getting married when he was in prison for raping someone.
Oh, so
yes, and he went back to jail on a parole violation for a bit, and she was the primary captor for a while.
What? I wish I told her to.
I'm not.
This bitch crazy.
Yeah, she sucks, and she helped him kidnap her because he wanted to rape young women. He had done it before and was arrested for it. And so instead of opening him up to not being able to control his compulsion, because pedophiles cannot control it, there's no such thing as a rehabilitated pedophile.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Wait, can you elaborate on that? Because I always assumed that, like, if they gave a fuck or if they had the right support system, human psychology has existed long enough that there could be a program for them. There's no, like, rehab or anything that has been effective in the past?
No. Nope.
Really?
Nothing.
Have people tried?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's like an alcoholic or a drug addict. If given the right circumstances, put under enough stress, they will snap. There is no such thing as a rehabilitated pedophile.
Oh, I see what you're saying. But like how someone's always an alcoholic, they're just a recovered alcoholic or whatever. But they're never not. They're never
but sexual is stronger, right? It's what keeps sexual serial killers killing. It's they're chasing that, and it's more than drugs and alcohol. Like there is,
got it,
because the sex is involved, and it's no.
It's like sex and food are very up there in the hierarchy of being a living creature. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So instead of risking getting him caught and sent back to prison by raping multiple girls, they were like, "Oh, let's just kidnap one and
so
keep
this
her,
is her
and then
love
that's
language.
who you're gonna assault."
That's their fucking love language.
She's fucking awful. I fucking hate Nancy. Fuck that bitch. She's going to be up for parole in 2029.
Oh, wow.
I fucking hate her.
She won't get
I hope not.
She won't. No, there's
like,
no way.
Do we know what her uncle was in for? Like, I'm like, where did these daddy issues go? Like, I'm sorry, this episode is not about Nancy, but I'm so like stuck
I mean, it's
on this bitch.
about
like,
the whole
what?
case. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Because we like to believe that women would protect, right? Like he goes to jail and she's like, quick, escape. But no, she fucking held her head down for the 3-hour drive to, what was it, 150 miles, 120 miles away. Like they drove to their small podunk town.
Like she could have fell in love with a man with like a boat or like a decent hairline or like anything to offer. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just so insane.
He was like psychotic, and he, like, jumping a little bit ahead, he wrote this like almost manifesto, but like criminal, I don't know, case files about himself, and gave it to the FBI about how to keep pedophiles from like offending and keeping schizophrenics away. And the FBI was like, what the fuck is this? And then he went to UC Berkeley to see if they would want him to give lectures on his crazy ideas. And that's what led to the discovering of Jaycee and the girls.
Right.
Oh, right. Those were the the crazy manic pitches that he was giving. Oh.
Yeah, because he had his 2 daughters with him.
And, you know, sometimes I think it does get too far where people watch a lot of true crime and a lot of things, and someone can give you the ick or bad vibes, and people like jump to a conclusion they're worse than they are. But also, on the contrary, I think this is a great example of just women's intuition. I don't need a reason.
Yes.
The cops need to be called. And they were fucking right. Like, it was just like weird vibes. Like he's twitching too
and the way
much.
they handled
Too big. There's kids here. Like, we're gonna call somebody.
Yeah, the way they handled it was so good.
Yeah, it really was. It seemed very swift. It seemed very Do you think the whole, while we're on the like crazy manic manifesto thing, do we think that him trying to break, because you said, this is something I didn't get a chance to look into. It was about, like, you were saying, keeping pedophiles from, like, do you think he had like this deep-seated cognitive dissonance, or dare I say guilt, which was driving him to this like mania-induced psychotic thing to try to help while keeping these girls in prison? That's wild.
I know. I do think so, because he would rape her whenever he was on drugs, right? But sometimes he would come to her and be like crying about what he was doing and kept apologizing, and told her that she was keeping other people safe because he could enact his compulsions on her, and so that she was saving other girls. So he absolutely knows what he's doing. What he's doing is wrong, and it's just
I think that all of that bullshit was just a manipulation tactic, and I don't think he has any empathy whatsoever. And I don't think he knows what he did was wrong at all. Because this is the second time that he raped and kidnapped someone. The second time. He was put in prison the first time for raping and kidnapping someone who was 25 years old in fucking, excuse my French, in South Lake Tahoe, and then brought her down to a warehouse in Reno.
Yeah.
Like,
the worst. If you're going to get raped, on top of like that, now you're in Reno. No offense, Veronica.
Uh-oh. And Stacy, because that's where I'm at. Drama. You just offended two people. Actually, no, I get it, and I fully understand what you're saying.
I love making fun of Reno, but low-key, I love it there. I love when I go to the Silver Lake.
Reno's a wild place. Yeah.
It's fun there. It's fun. But I will also say for Reno, let's give it up for Reno because they were the people who arrested him and sent him to federal prison.
Yep.
Reno.
And it was California. Yeah, go Reno.
It was like Reno 911, but they did
it was
something.
Yes. I'm
right.
I'm dead. But he did all of this, we have yet to mention, while on parole.
Oh, yeah.
And wearing an ankle monitor, and he's not allowed to be around minors. And so a lot of people were like, hey, there's some girls at this guy's house, and he's kind of crazy. And like the parole officers would show up, not really do a great search, and then ask about the girls. And he was like, oh, yeah, it's my brother's daughter. And they would never verify. His brother didn't have kids. And also, he's not allowed to be around minors.
At all, yeah.
To add to that, Jaycee ended up suing the state of California because of their failure of the parole system and like just doing a shitty job.
Yeah.
Right.
They were checking the home the entire time she was there.
Yeah. They won a $20 million lawsuit against the state of California.
Get it, girl. Get your money.
And I think this is something that's really getting lost in this country. And it's just like, not to get on a fucking soapbox, but I feel like everyone is underpaid. Everyone is showing up to their job and half-assing it. And it doesn't matter how important the job is. And to some degree, I'm not trying to like condone it. Like we'd all like to think that like, if I was that person, I would give a fuck about, you know, kidnapped children. But in the reality, I get it. I go to my fucking job and I'm just like, what is the bare minimum I can do? I need to take more steps to look for like, I got a hangover. Like people just aren't paid enough to give a fuck at their fucking jobs. And it shows. And this was like a while ago. Like now I can't imagine like what parole people, and because there's no way they're like making
probably the same. No, they're probably making the exact same and have triple the caseload. And even then they were probably overworked.
Think about that too with like social workers too, like just how inundated they are and like all the
how can they do a good job?
Right.
But I love that this woman, this black woman, so like always believe black women, was presented with crazy of this man, and instead of just being like get out the door, saw that there were two girls who did not match crazy and was like, what's going on? Because he showed up with his daughters with Jaycee, right? Not with Jaycee, but with the two daughters. And then she was like, would love to hear more. Can you come back tomorrow? Let's make an appointment. And he was like, yes, great. And she told campus security and like gave the name, and the officer on campus did a background check and was like, this man is on parole like 50 miles away from here. He shouldn't even be, and he's a sex offender. Hold on. Then when he came back the next day with the girls, was in the meeting with them and was like, this is bonkers. I'm calling the police. His parole officer was notified, did a home check, found no girls or Jaycee, and then was like, you need to come to the office to sort this out. He brought the girls and Jaycee, I guess, so that she could be like, these are my kids and I do let him take care of them. He's great with kids, right? Like she, at this point, they've had her for 18 years. We saw this with Elizabeth Smart. For their own survival, they are going with things. She hadn't said or written her name in over 15 years. You know, she was Alyssa to everyone else.
Hey.
Yeah, that's why I booked you.
I did like that part. I was like, good taste, girl, because they let her pick her name, and I was like, 18 years away from civilization, your family sanity, can't get rid of good taste, baby. And so finally they were able to separate them and be like, what the fuck is going on? And they were able to arrest him on these parole violations. And then Jaycee couldn't even say her name. They kept asking her like, this isn't right. Like, what is happening? What is happening? And she was like, I can't tell you my name. And she says in interviews later that she wasn't trying to be difficult, but she was not allowed to say
her name. And so she wrote it down and they realized who was sitting in front of them because, like you said, Alyssa, her mother had not given up. Every year we were hearing about Jaycee and just they called the mom and had her on the phone and like, ooh, I'm getting actually a little verklempt talking about it. The mom was like, baby, I'm coming, and drove 150 150 miles to go pick up her fucking daughter and her grandkids.
Oh my God.
And like,
it hurts.
18 years.
Isn't that wild? The parents were divorced at that point too, weren't they?
Yeah. So she had Jaycee with a very short term, I think, boyfriend. He didn't know he even had a kid, I think, until she disappeared. But she had quickly married her stepfather who saw the abduction, but it did pull them apart, which is normal, which is so normal. Most
it's a big stressor.
Most marriages do not survive a child's death or a child's abduction. It's like, thank God these two women were like, this is wrong but also so many men had called and been like, this is weird. There are children in the backyard, or this is weird. There's a girl staring at Jaycee Dugard's picture at this 7-Eleven and it kind of looks like Jaycee. And can you cut in all of those vehicles?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There are all these vehicles by eyewitnesses they then found in the backyard in the like Shack Central. And from what I can tell based on photos is they had like 2 backyards almost and had kind of cut one off. And so in the secondary backyard is where Jaycee and the kids lived, and it was like overgrown. And so if you didn't go out back, you couldn't see it from the house. And I do believe that Nancy would always kind of bother the parole officers while they were trying to like do their search of the house. Oh, also, I'm so sorry. Like, okay, they're living at Philip's elderly mother's house. And she is there this whole time. And no one talks about that. There's a fucking grandma. And by the end of the 18 years, Jaycee's walking around answering the door and she's not like, who is this bitch? Like, what's happening?
What? Okay, and also, gonna point out, Nancy's so in love with this dude. She's kidnapping little girls for him. This motherfucker don't even own his own house. He lives with his mom.
No. If I was a man, I would clean the fuck up, is all I'm learning from these. Like, these low-life dudes are getting, like, 2 or 3 wives. I'm like, well, I own a house.
Right. Get some wives. You should get some wives. I know I'm not doing the bi forcing thing. I've been accusing Veronica of being bi since I first met her and had no rights to force any sexuality down your throat. But I was very like, I'm not girl, those Tims. Like, and a flannel, like, please, what are we doing? It's summer. What are we trying to do? Like, but get some wives. Fuck it. Not to get on a soapbox, but I do feel like it should be said that it's really easy to say how like men are, well, I guess we really did dive into Nancy, but like I feel like so many men are behind a lot of these kidnappings and murders that it feels like they are the inferior race, which debatable. There's evidence that supports that, but like shout out to all the men who like made multiple calls and was like, it doesn't seem like you guys are doing anything. They're fucking girls.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like really tried their fucking best, because like at some point, I don't know, I feel like if we don't acknowledge them and then they'll all become murderers and then we're all gonna die. So we gotta
really. Well, because a lot of times too, like growing up, I don't know if it was this way with you girls, but a lot of times I'd be like, look what's happening, and both parents would be like, just mind your own business, don't get involved. And it's like, sometimes I think we should actually get involved and be like, wait, what is happening?
Right. No, my mom was the opposite. My mom was I'm getting involved. My God, almost too much to her detriment. But I can't tell you how many times like my mom would see a fight like between 2 kids and she'd go over there and she'd break it up like randomly, or she'd be like, no, that is wrong, you are not to do this, or like saw some kids being picked on and would go and like did not know these children, would just like go over there and be like, you leave this kid alone.
That's really cute.
Yeah, my mom was the opposite. Sometimes it was embarrassing. I'd be like, oh God, I just want to go home.
Like, you don't need to parent these people's kids.
Right. Parrot meat.
Yeah. Jaycee, but like, way to bounce back. One, like you were saying, Alyssa, she seems so grounded and settled. Her entire captivity, she was homeschooling her kids from things like they had finally given her a TV, but she couldn't watch the news. So she had no idea her mom was still looking for her. But she was homeschooling her kids on what she was learning, and they would like grow vegetables and flowers. And she came out of it like with a pretty good attitude, all things considered.
Oh my
she
God,
got 20 million settlement. She got 2 book deals. Like, good for you, Jaycee.
Right. And she's become a huge victims advocate and is like really now that they took a break for a while. Like they didn't do anything and while she was like going through therapy and doing some intensive care and things like that. I don't remember now because I know she's in the limelight and she has come out and has done TV interviews and things like that. But I think she continues to keep her kids away from that all. I think she continues to keep her children out of the limelight.
Yeah, it would have to. I think she's like, it's their choice, right?
Right,
like, which is so smart. And but like 2016 was the Diane Sawyer interview because it was when her book was coming out.
Yeah.
Her kids were in college.
Isn't that insane? I was just looking at that. So when they were captured, there was one child that was like 15 or something like that, meaning she must have had this baby at like whatever 14. Young ass age.
So she was, 14. At 14. She was kidnapped at 11, impregnated by 14. When they were reunited with her family, her children were 15 and 11. But I will say, like, so she was raped at least once a week for the first 3 years and kept handcuffed for the first 3 years. Then after 3 years, she was finally given cooked food and let out of handcuffs, but still locked in the room. And then the last day she was raped was the day her second daughter was conceived. So
then they just stopped.
Thank God for kids. Yeah, he just stopped.
Oh. But then just kept them together and they started going to the beach?
Yeah, I guess.
Weird.
And they like were taught that Nancy was their mom and Jaycee was their older sister.
Right.
Like that's the narrative that they had to live. And he is wanted for at least one missing persons case.
Yeah.
But was looked at for a couple others. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Person of interest, not wanted.
Yeah. I also to think about like if I was put into that situation as a child, would I have survived that long? Like would I have given up for after 18 years? Like of that trait? Like I don't think I could have made it that long.
I think you could have.
I guess I am stubborn, but
like she did at some point, you do just concede to the situation and survive it.
You know, and I think you said something interesting earlier, Veronica. People with victims not realizing, like, because you always hear about fight or flight, and then like, but we don't really hear about freeze and fawn, which is a big fucking thing. And then like, it's just because on paper it's so easy for people to be like, well, why would you be nice to them and go around with their thing and there's a bad guy and you shouldn't be. And it's like, yeah, but like if I make him mad, he's gonna kill me. So it's like literally a survival tactic to just stroke their ego, smile, be like, yeah, no, we love the rape. Yeah, I'm your daughter. Whatever you say, please don't kill me. And it's a nasty thing to put someone through that level of criticism and scrutiny after they've been fighting for their life for 18 goddamn years.
Oh yeah. And if you can normalize it for your brain, it's less traumatic in the time it's happening. You can survive.
You're not like up here in your heart rate constantly, which you just can't be.
You can't. And so for her kids too, because this happened in the Joseph Fritzl case, which is even worse because it was his own daughter, but she made it so normal for her kids that they were living in a fucking dungeon and they would draw pictures and put them up, like making it as normal as possible. It's almost like one of the survivors, I forget who he was too, because of course, every time this happens, like with Elizabeth Smart, Jaycee Dugard came back out. So many survivors come out to be like, you have a community and we understand what you're going through. We'll talk to the press while you get the help you need. It's a different world is now opened up to you. She got used to her world and resigned to it because that's how you survive. And she had 2 kids to get through it. And then this new free world is opened up, and it's like almost traumatic going into that because of all the confines that you'd been in. And with the Joseph Fritzl case, one of the kids was like 5, and they got them at night, and the cops were putting them into cars, and they had to go like 3 miles an hour because the kids had never seen a car. So first of all, they thought they were like monsters. And then going that fast, they had never seen the moon. Like everything to them was so foreign. That's a lot of the therapy, is this new world, which for us is our normal world. So it is amazing that like they can do that and to normalize it, to lessen it for the children.
It's also really incredible how resilient human beings are.
Yes.
Like there are some people that have gone through hell and back and are functioning people of society, and you're just like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was looking at his sentencing, and he ended up getting 431 years to life, and Nancy only got 36
Which I'm so fucking pissed off about.
Yeah.
Sexism.
Yeah.
Stand with men. Women can also have long sentences.
I was going to say stand with men, but then I'm like, I don't want to stand with Philip. What's his face? So that I just shut up.
What an asshole. Right. What a fucking asshole.
Right.
He had a wife that would have fucked him. I get that's not how pedophilia works, but still, you know what I mean? Like, also, that's the fuck. I know a lot of like nice guys with jobs who are like decent, and they can't get a fucking girlfriend. This Philip motherfucker had a wife who helped kidnap him. I know nice men that can't get a fucking girlfriend in LA. Unbelievable.
Are they looking? Are they tall?
Veronica
Tell me about
some
these
of them
men.
more than others.
Veronica likes fridge men.
And I'm like, looking at Nancy's mugshot, like she's older, but she's cute. Like this shot of her, she's 67, but she's cute.
She could have done well. Too bad she fucking sucks.
Apparently, yeah.
Hatred for Nancy.
Yeah, really.
But Alyssa, I don't know if you know your calendar out this far.
Oh, I love a plug.
Love a good
plug.
This is going to air on August 7th.
Perfect. Well, through the entire month of August, I'm actually going to be at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I'm so excited.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. My very good friend, Seven, hit me up, and he was like, I really want to do like a LGBTQIA show. We got this snazzy venue that's in this like ritzy hotel called the Le Monde. They have their Shanghai.
Oh, I've heard of it.
You heard it? Le Monde? It's
They
have their nightclub at the Le Monde, which we do a queer comedy brunch out of every afternoon at 1 p.m. The Le Monde has like put together this fabulous edible sparkles brunch thing, and we got like really great comics. We got Fifi Dosh from the Comedy Store. We got Hank Chen from the Laugh Factory. Everywhere. Bill Strange, Antoine Tobias, me, Seven, Janaea, Future Khan. They are fantastic. It's a really great group. We got Queens for days. We got variety. It's going to be a really fun show. So if you happen to have any Scottish fans, come check us out.
Yes. Oh, congratulations. That's so much fun. Okay. So if you aren't in Scotland in August, follow her on Instagram because she's always updating where she's at. She's always working somewhere. So
thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Alyssa.
Yeah. Thank you.
Like the subtle tears and the child rape and all that. But that's super fun.
We'll have you back and give you a better case. I'm so sorry.
A more fun one.
Right. The fun crime. Give me like an add water situation.
Join us next week for another episode of Criminal Gines.
Bye.